Furthermore, given that our interactions with members of the scapegoated group are usually limited, we do not risk awakening to the realization that these people are not nearly like the distorted image of them we hold in our psyche. Scapegoating at a group level is made easier by the fact that those in the scapegoated group, being composed of individuals with their own weaknesses and flaws, may in fact behave in ways that provide legitimate reasons for indignation, or as Jung put it, not that these others are wholly without blame, for even the worst projection is at least hung on a hook, perhaps a very small one, but still a hook offered by the other person. But as Jung recognized, there is a tendency within collectivist movements to take this small hook offered by one's opponents and to hang on it virtually all that is wrong with oneself in the world. When we cast a group of people in this negative light, seeing them as the primary source of all that ails a society, it becomes possible to justify persecution, violence, and perhaps even extermination of the group in question. Projection at the level of collectives becomes even more dangerous as those in positions of power can divert attention away from their own activities and the harm they may be causing by using propaganda, false flags, and other manipulation techniques in order to cast blame onto ready-made scapegoats. Due to the terrible consequences that can emerge at both the level of the individual and of society when we fail to recognize, in the words of Alexander Solzhenitsyn, that the line dividing good and evil cuts through the heart of every human being, it is of the utmost importance that we strive to recognize our shadow qualities and to integrate them into our conscious awareness. Only then will we be in an adequate position to evaluate the true sources of evil in this world. On the other hand, if we fail to recognize the subjective origin of our projections, not only will our own well-being suffer, but we will contribute on a global scale to much unnecessary conflict. Jung went as far as to suggest that if psychological projection at a collective level became too widespread, war would be the likely outcome. For he believed that the greatest danger to civilization lay not in the weapons we have at our disposal, but in our inability to understand our own selves. For it is this ignorance and the failure to face up to our own weaknesses and destructiveness that causes what should be an internal battle to manifest itself in the external world. Modern people, wrote Jung, are ignorant of what they really are. We have simply forgotten what a human being really is, so we have men like Nietzsche and Freud and Adler who tell us what we are quite mercilessly. We have to discover our shadow, otherwise we are driven into a world war in order to see what beasts we are.
So, society now is all about numbing down everything else and chasing a good time.
That's what it sounds like, doesn't it? Oh, shit. That's probably the best answer I've had to that question so far. Oh, good shit, man. Do you believe that Antifa is behind the rioting and looting that starts out as peaceful protests?
Probably not the organization itself, but maybe some of its fringe radicals. Maybe. I think the biggest problem is probably opportunists there.
Right.
Not really the protesters, but opportunists that really don't give a shit about what happened. They just want a reason to go out and tear shit up.
I'm hearing it's from a couple of different people from Philadelphia and California and one in Texas that mostly the people that are rioting and looting are white.
They are. I've seen the snapshots.
That's fucking cool.
A lot of them are white. But, it begs the question, are they legitimately angry, or are they just being kind of parasitic, and just want a reason to go into a store and steal shit? I don't know.
I think it's, I think it may be, anybody. I don't think those people are there necessarily with Black Lives Matter. I think there's from something separate that has an agenda to disrupt things that bad, to make things seem worse than they are, to make them worse than they were supposed to be. That's just what I believe, though.
I think it's possible. Yeah.
Who killed Kennedy?
The Pentagon. Oswald just pulled the trigger.
You think Oswald was definitely the shooter?
I think he was made to
Okay. All right.
At the behest of the United States government, the Pentagon in particular. You know, you have someone like Kennedy that's ahead of his time, wanted to end the war, you know, peace, all that stuff. You couldn't have that then. Like, no way. Yeah.
Okay. I tend to think I have a different viewpoint. If you want to know it, I'll tell you. I won't. I don't.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I definitely believe that he was set up because of the fear and disillusion I saw in his face right before Jack Ruby shot him. He didn't know to me it looked like he didn't know what the fuck was going on, why he just got arrested. It looked like somebody just said, "Hey dude, you just shot the president, you're going to jail and you're going to fucking die." That's the fear that was in that man's eyes. I think if
he got in his cell under mysterious circumstances too, didn't he?
Yeah, I mean, he was a Marine, and that's what they do. They teach us to take headshots like that. When we're training, and you're trying to get a rifleman badge, the more headshots you get, the better your rating is. So that, to me, that tells me one or two things. He either really did it and tried to act his way out of it, or he didn't do it and was the perfect patsy because of his background.
He was the fall guy.
Right. That's what I think. That's what I totally think. Just because of the look of the fear in his face, man. Like, I think guilty people fucking have a completely different reaction when they're caught doing shit. It's just like, you know, did you ever see that movie, Usual Suspects?
Yeah.
People that, you know, the guys that are in prison that are chilling the fuck out, they already been caught. They know they've been caught, and there's nothing they can do about it, so acceptance comes into play really quickly. There was no shred of acceptance on that man's face. That guy looked like he woke out of a fucking nightmare. And that's why that gets me right there. That's why I'm like, that guy didn't fucking do it. And I got pretty good. Yeah, you see my point in that?
Yeah, I can see that. Like, if I were to, you know, just shoot someone, I would probably just do an eye roll. Like, yeah, I did that. Time to go. I would just put my hands behind my back myself and just wait there. Like, yeah.
That's a level of
everyone saw it. There's no getting out of this one.
Right. You're caught. You know you're caught. You're fucked. Oh well. Yeah, man. That's what I thought, man. He looked like they just snatched him up, and he didn't know what the fuck was going on. Like, he could have been walking out of a door somewhere, and the next thing you know, he's got policemen throwing him on the fucking ground for murder. That's how I imagine that happening. That's the look of surprise and fear that he had on his face. But anyway, that's my shit, dude. Was the moon landing faked?
No.
No? Okay. All right.
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
Do you think it was fake?
I always have what if in the back of my mind, like with everything. I like to question everything. I believe, I don't believe anything I hear and half of what I see. So that's just how I live, man. Shit could have happened. People say you can see the camera in the helmet, in the backdrop. So I don't know. Honestly, don't know. It could have been.
Oh.
I mean, I wouldn't put it past our government. I honestly wouldn't. We were trying to beat Russia. We were trying to beat Russia to the moon. So what if we didn't have the technology? Then what would be the motivating factor to do something like that? So that's how I think.
So what you're telling me is the moon really could be cheese.
No.
Like, we don't know.
No. Oh, I mean,
please tell me the moon's really cheese.
That would be fucked up. That'd be fucked up. Because that would mean a giant ball of cheese controls our currents and shit. And if it tips out of
I would love to be in a cheese galaxy. Yes. Cheese world. Send me there. That's where I'm from. That's why I don't feel like I'm supposed to be here.
Oh, geez, the cheese world. Right on, man. Speaking of which,
be on the cheese planet.
What's your
favorite? Fuck this shit.
What's your favorite food?
But hear me out.
Sure.
Have you ever heard of a dough dog?
No.
Okay. A couple hours from here, there's a bakery in Charleston. And just imagine it, okay? It's a donut dough hot dog bun with a cream weenie, powdered sugar, and chocolate glaze, which I think is supposed to be the ketchup.
What?
It is the most amazing thing in the world. Like, you had to wear a mask when you went into this bakery to get them. But we got them. This was last month.
It sounds well worth it.
And, oh yeah, we got a box full. I'm so ashamed of myself. What I did to those things, I'm so sorry. It was all up in my mask. Like, there was powdered sugar and crumbs in my mask, and I'm sitting there in the doctor's office just like inhaling it, like trying to get it all in.
Oh, it's funny as shit. Oh my god.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
amazing. Dough dogs right now are the number one thing. I don't need a lot of sugar, so when I do, I go hard.
Okay. All right. Hey, man. I'm in that mode too. I'm like, just started eating healthy again.
I'm mostly vegetarian myself for the most part.
Or completely or mostly?
Mostly.
Okay.
I only eat meat like once or twice a week.
Okay. All right. So you're not a complete vegan then. All right.
No.
You kind of need that protein, don't you?
Yeah, you do. That's where Greek yogurt comes in. It's loaded with it.
Oh, right on. More so than like a side of steak?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, wow.
Like, there's like 12 grams of protein in one Greek yogurt, and I can eat 4.
Right. Your body can only process so many grams of protein, correct? Like 14 or something?
I think it depends on you. Like, the only reason I'm really big on making sure that I get all that protein in is so my hair doesn't fall out.
Okay.
But yeah.
Do you have a history of baldness in your family, or?
No.
Oh, okay. What is it?
Just paranoid.
Oh, okay. All right. It's what's it like? Your grandfather, your mother's grandfather, or your mother's dad. That's where you get your hairline from, as far as I know. And that's it. I think that's pretty true because I still got a full head of hair. I'm 40, so I'm doing good so far.
Okay, now I have to look for a picture because I can't remember.
All right. What was it like the first time you smoked weed?
The very first time, I was probably... It wasn't in high school, surprisingly. Not then.
Junior high?
No. Like, it was as an adult.
Oh, wow. Okay. All right.
Yeah. Surprise, everyone. Yeah.
Did you promote this? Did you promote the podcast?
I think I did.
Did you tell your friends at least?
Yes, I did.
Cool. All right, cool. Nice. I'm going to have listeners. Yay. All right. Is there anyone, we'll take advantage of this right now. Is there anyone you want to say hi to or anyone you want to say anything to that might be listening?
Let me think.
All right.
Nicole from Blue Spoon Cafe, if you're listening, you need to find the Dough Dog secret recipe and bring them here to Bluefield. Because I don't want to drive 2 hours away for that shit.
There you go, Nicole. You got
Steal their recipe and make them here. I will be there every day, I swear.
Nice. Right on, man.
And then hello to the rest of you bitches.
Oh, man. All right. Gelato, froyo, or ice cream?
Gelato.
Why?